Hey everyone, welcome to GTM Secrets, everything go to market, sales, marketing, RevOps, you name it. Today I have Jacob Hagemeyer joining us over at Cultivate Advisors. He's become a great acquaintance, and I'd even say friend. He's actually a client of Identity Matrix. Really excited to have him on here talking today about how difficult it is to sell and market professional services. Jacob, do you want to take a second and give a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Jacob. I'm, as Stephen said, Director of Marketing for Cultivate Advisors. As a business growth advising firm, we're working with SMBs of usually like $1 million in revenue up to $20 million a year. Our whole team, myself included, though, is built of entrepreneurs. So my journey up to this point is I've built and scaled a few companies and exited those, and wanted to take that expertise to working with other businesses while also getting back internal and kind of driving the engine for, one single company. I don't actually consult with Cultivate. I'm driving our marketing engine and, parts of our sales engine, but I do come from a consulting background, having run a marketing agency myself. So I kind of, see it from both sides there a bit.
Well, I think it's actually harder to get people in the door as a consulting firm, right? Once you have that relationship with them, I mean, shoot, in my RevOps company, I could upsell all day long because I have so much trust built with them. But selling and marketing abstract services is way more difficult. Now, we were talking before, a lot of the GTM Secrets audience is going to be mid-market and enterprise or early enterprise level marketing folks in SaaS. Now, the reason that I wanted you on, I have a services background. I think services are 10 times harder to sell and market because they're abstract, wholly built on trust. You have nothing to show, maybe not. It's way harder than SaaS. So between the fact that you sold a marketing agency, which, I mean, there's 1 billion of those, so that's difficult. And then you're in the growth advisory and consulting space. There's 1 billion of those. My first question to you is specific to your marketing, not what Cultivate does, but specific to your marketing. How do you stand out from the other ungodly amount of agencies and advisory firms out there?
So, it's been crazy over the last, especially COVID and after, the amount of, competition, single, one-off, maybe 3-person company advising companies that just gone through the roof. Where I think I really try to differentiate us is experience, but also when you're looking at a lot of, even if it's like an advising firm, a lot of the times it's 1, 2, 3 advisors. Our team's built up of 50 advisors. So our real difference is you're getting expertise of a much larger team. Also, and this is where it becomes difficult because not every company can do this. We have 10 years of experience, 10 years of data. Our average client's growing 43% revenue and 65% profit a year. So we can sell on numbers. Honestly, it would be a totally different thing if we were not in that situation. But because of the level of competition and because you're selling on concept, it's not, here's a piece of software, here's what it does exactly, easy to explain. We're selling go-to-market strategies, and we're selling, business growth strategies that are driving at enterprise value for somebody who's looking at exiting a business 3-5 years. So it's a lot of it is you have to show your expertise in a lot more ways than you would if you're a SaaS company. So we do lots and lots of education. We do regular webinars. Our C-suite's doing, like most conferences we're attending, we're leading the speaking at those. We really have to put our information out there and show our processes, almost like you're giving away the secret, but it's just showing that this is how we're able to do it. This is how it's able to scale. And then honestly, as you know, and I think everybody in any area of consulting knows, paid has become very difficult. The elections obviously made it much more difficult. So
I know I'm in Michigan, which as most people know is a battleground state. I swear I get 8 texts a day. It's horrible. Emails, ads, you name it. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, well, I think what people don't think about is it's ads for a totally different thing. It's no, it's people taking an insane amount of money and dropping it into the system and trying to blanket push their ads everywhere. So it's every industry is seeing ups and downs. But because of that, I think, a huge focus of mine since taking over the department and the companies for the last year, and definitely moving into 2025, is where can we look down different avenues to bring leads consistently? You can't rely on just Facebook or Google. We need to have, our live events. We need to have our webinar events. We have strategic partnerships. We have a full team built around that. We work very heavily and closely with associations. It's not relying on one thing, because in this space, competition's changing constantly and things crash. Facebook was our bread and butter for several years, and then almost overnight, it just stopped working. I mean, we still get leads, but at nowhere, a tenth of the volume that we once did. And we can't, our company's on a trajectory. We can't slow that down. So you have to differentiate. You got to figure out, where else can I create systems and, consistently bring those leads in, but in much more creative ways. So I think, kind of to sum it all up, I think with SaaS, when I've marketed for SaaS, whether it be my own companies or clients, it's like you just get really heavy behind certain channels. And I think with consulting, you have to be much, much more creative. And also, as the competition rises, we need to differentiate ourselves, which we're doing by, the value we bring and by results. But whatever it is in your company, you need to really figure out, why am I different than the 20 people that they're going to talk to? Because if they can't see it, if they're not going to see it, they're never going to sign with me. Because why would you sign with the person that's the same as the other three?
Just as a side note, because I'm in Michigan and despise political ads so much, I actually love politics. I'm not going to name which candidate, but I got a text for one of them, and my response was, I'd rather get screwed by a cactus. So I have fun with some of those bots and people that are texting me.
Well, I've been in sales and marketing for 18 years, and I feel like I haven't changed my number because I don't want people to not have my number. So I get the constant spam, but it's drastically worse the last couple of months. So
about a year ago, I had clients, because I owned a RevOps agency, winding it down as Identity Matrix really takes off, and we got investment and whatnot. But about a year ago, my clients were hounding me so bad. I actually have 2 lines on my iPhone, and I can shut off my business line anytime I want, put it in airplane mode. Best decision I've ever made. So that one, everyone has. You can find it in 2 seconds on Google. My personal one, probably 7 people have.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I feel you. Now, I'm on your website, learn how we impact other business. Oh, sorry, I got to scroll up. Tailored advising for businesses. Okay, so it's what you do. But you were saying some interesting stats, and I love that they're right on your website, literally right below the main hero section. I'm slapped in the face with an insane amount of credibility. So 5 stars on Google out of 457 reviews, 43% top line growth, 65% bottom line growth. I mean, you're slapping me in the face with stats. And I think people, in my opinion, in both services, especially marketing agencies, but then even SaaS companies, you get caught up in the fluff and whatnot. So I think that is, I wouldn't even call that creative. It's slapping somebody in the face with, here's why we're legit, here's why you should use us. And then sure, get into some of the fluff later, like about us. You have a section on a couple of your advisors. And then you bring it back with a slap in the face of credibility with, here are all the publications we've been in.
Yeah.
I think too many people, and frankly, looking at your site, I need to go check my website. It's just a very, very clear value prop, whereas most agencies are just going to talk abstractly. We grow your top line. We've generated millions in revenue. And then what people catch on to is, you generated $1 million in revenue, but your customer acquisition cost was 3 times higher than it ever was, and you just wasted a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
So I got to give you a lot of props there. I think that's very good.
That's actually, one big thing is we always try to connect everything back to enterprise value for that reason, because there are certain metrics that look really nice if you shoot them through the roof really quickly. It doesn't do a service to your business in the long run, not always. So our focus and our emphasis is always on the enterprise value of the company. Not everybody we work with, actually 90% aren't looking to sell anytime in the near future. They just want to make more money, want to be set up for retirement. But most people that do have to exit, it's not planned. Something happens, you're forced to. We want them to be ready, and we want their business to be, at that maximum valuation point. So I think that emphasis, and then being able to say, well, we've done it thousands of times, go and look at even just the record of our advisors of their own businesses, that goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%. So you mentioned Facebook. I see you guys are active on LinkedIn. Talk to me about what your go-to-market actually looks like when ad costs have skyrocketed, conversion rates have dropped, people are inundated with ads and noise. And I think even on LinkedIn, it's like every third or fourth post is an ad. Like, what is the mix, the marketing mix between paid and organic versus outbound? Let's start there between those three.
Okay, so it's drastically shifting, and it's going to shift even more in 2025. We are ramping down paid, and we are really, really zoning in on what are we good at, and that is content. And the content is great because it is showing what we do and how we grow businesses. So we are my paid is a tenth the budget of what it was in January right now, and we're putting more behind events. So that's, live webinars for current clients through our partnership networks, associations we work with, like really problem solving webinars of like very specific. If you're having this issue with this type of business, here's what we would do in that situation. And then just putting resources behind our teams. So our advisors are one of our biggest lead generators. They have amazing networks. They're entrepreneurs, helping them push out their own content, helping them create their own brand. It's great for them. It's great for us. It creates consistency. And they sell on their name, which is always really strong. Whereas paid, you get caught in the mix of like, you're buying somebody's attention when they're out looking for attention from 100 places. We would rather say we have an audience in front of us and we have an opportunity to speak to these 200 people and show them our value 20 or 30 minutes, not, what it takes to read one click of an ad.
Well,
so we're really, really kind of shifting and then really taking advantage of once you get the leads, how do you nurture them? Because that's the other thing. Most of our leads don't close, like a lot of people are exploring early on, or it's what am I going to do in 2 quarters? And so we've put a lot more emphasis on, instead of just dumping stuff in the top of the funnel, how can we keep people in the mix? How can we keep people coming back? How can our webinars create content that's solving a problem that they're going to want to solve the next problem until they're ready to work with us? So a lot less just, dial up the dollars and dump it in the paid system, and much more well thought out. Where do we fit as a value prop? And, how can we nurture people until they're ready, as opposed to like sign now, or which is typically the paid model is, move quick.
What is, so first of all, what's the persona that you target? Is it head of marketing? I assume a lot of it's just CEO and business executives in general.
Yep. Yeah. So most of the time it's owners and partners, and but as we go up, upstream, a lot of times we're talking with like HR or a director of operations, or because they're doing the discovery work for the CEO. So that's our more upmarket clients. The smaller they get, the more it tends to just be, we're talking with the business owner.
Now, you mentioned webinars and associations. Are you having those associations market your webinars?
Yeah. We're doing webinars specifically for associations, like joint webinars with them for their audience.
Now, is that partnership or is it pay to play?
So what's funny is we're open to both, but typically we almost always move into partnerships. It's a way better scenario on both sides. The value we bring consistently, and then where they get their financial benefit, because associations, obviously they need money to operate, is we give them kickbacks for clients, but also we're sponsoring shows where, in that regard, it's a huge benefit for us to be able to be a speaker at a show. So absolutely we'll sponsor the show as well.
Now, I'm really diving into the weeds. Are they recorded webinars, live webinars, or both?
Both. And next year, up to this point, we've done, like, I think we've talked about how Cultivate brands. As we've grown, we've absorbed a couple other companies that really fit in the mix. Like we have a bookkeeping company, and we have Petra now, which is very similar to Cultivate but upmarket, and they're doing much more like leadership coaching. Next year, we're going to be doing webinars with all 3 brands and their networks together. We're going to be trying out, does live work better in certain situations? We know live works better. In certain situations, the recorded version works better. We're trying to figure out that what's ultimately going to drive the most, but I think it's always going to be a combination.
Now, what kind of so if you're targeting business owners of a 15 to $20 million company, let's say, which is on the upper end of SMB, let's say somewhere in there, what kind of associations are we talking about? Like, I think YPO, Entrepreneurs Organization, et cetera. Is that the type that we're talking about, or is it more niche?
That and then a lot more niche as well. Like we work with several female business owner associations. We work one specific to construction, like niches that we work or industries we work really well in. Women in trucking, lots of things in the financial sector. So with financial advisors, exit planning institutes. So because those can tend to be clients or those tend to be our biggest partnerships. Obviously, wealth advisors, if their client's business grows, is a huge benefit. So like that network we speak very well to. And we're really, we went from 2 years ago or 3 years ago doing a couple shows to like 5, 2 years ago to like 15 or 20 this year. So we're really starting to spread out because especially as we're going into like smaller, specific industries that we've done well in, we're seeing that there's a void for what we do and there's a void for the content we produce. And so, yeah, that's a big part of as the paid ramps down, testing out where's our speaking the most effective and where's our messaging going to be received best. We're really, really testing that out and try to expand that.
Sure. Makes sense. I'll go back to something that you said before, which is really focus on middle of funnel, not just plowing the top of funnel. Yep. I think it's really funny, sad when I talk to a lot of CMOs and whatnot that they don't send any nurturing content to people that are actually going through the deal cycle.
Yeah.
Zero. They're like, oh, I should nurture people based on what stage they're in.
Yeah.
Like that never occurred to them. So like if I'm in a discovery stage, I want, maybe some stats. If I'm towards the end and negotiating or whatever, I want maybe case studies, etc. And people don't often think that way. It's top of funnel. The rest is sales. Off you go.
Yeah. I think that plays into it, as does the industry, the time of year, the content you're pushing out makes a huge difference. I mean, if you're not nurturing, you're missing out on a significant portion of the deals you could close. But the more intricate you can be with it, obviously the more effective. So yeah, again, this is a big change as we're shifting from paid. A few years ago, our nurture was like you fall into a nurture at X amount of days of not being touched. Now it's what's your revenue size? What industry are you in? What lead source did you come from is a huge one. If you came from a conference, we know we're going to nurture that a lot longer than if you came to me through a paid ad that you clicked on something really specific. So even like their origin is really dictating what sort of funnel they should go into and how often they should get outreached and what that content should look like, et cetera.
Now, here's the last topic that I want to ask you, and this is my favorite. I ask almost everybody that comes on here, being a RevOps nerd and owning a MarTech company, et cetera. What are some of the favorite tools in your tech stack today?
That's tough. I feel like we use so many different tools and we're changing. It's like the one we use the most to be, Zapier, because we're constantly connecting everything. But no, I mean, Salesforce has been a game changer for us with integration. And I think just kind of bringing everything all together from like prospecting to current clients, billing, everything all in one central location as we expand. I think it's become a really effective way for department heads to communicate and see really what's going on in different departments. My data tools have been incredibly helpful. So, like we're running like data tools for, pulling who are the right people that we want to reach out to on LinkedIn. So we're not just blanketing. I don't want to send 1 million messages. I want to send 100 to exactly the right people. And then like tools like Identity Matrix, like if I want a cold prospect, I should start with somebody that actually has interest in me already. Again, it's like, why start with 1 million? Go down a little bit in the funnel and start with where there's already interest.
I appreciate the plug.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we're right in the middle of starting to see the results from that. So it's very top of mind just because of that.
Good. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you guys use any sales engagement tools like Apollo, Instantly, SalesLoft Outreach, anything like that? Or is everything that you're doing completely manual?
Well, we use all those tools. I have a VA that's all she really specializes in, that is pulling that info for me. Um, Now we do a little bit of both. We're trying to be more refined when we are using those sort of tools. But the other big one I forgot that I should probably mention that's huge for us is our own internal tool that we release that is managing all that information for our clients. We release like an internal portal that so we want our client from day one to like when they leave or when they exit their business to see everything that's happened and what that has created. So revenue growth, profit growth, but also the enterprise value. What have we done in your marketing? What have we done in your sales? As everything develops, it's like we're creating their entire business model and SOP in this system for them. And they can monitor all of that through the one system, just like we're doing for ourselves. So um,
Got it.
that's another big one.
I am a big proponent of Salesforce. I don't hate HubSpot like I used to, but I am definitely on Team Salesforce. So I like that.
Yeah, we were on HubSpot before, and I'm very happy to be moved over to Salesforce. I think it's just the size of business we're at; it makes more sense.
I think HubSpot's good for high volume, lower ticket products and whatnot.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good for ABM or really complex sales cycles, long sales cycles. I don't think it's very good for that. I think you can't beat Salesforce. HubSpot's other value prop used to be pricing. I don't know if you've looked at their pricing lately, but it is no more competitive than Salesforce.
no, the marketing side's crazy expensive now.
I actually, just for kicks and giggles, I just signed a 5-year contract with Pardot. So like I'm Team Salesforce, but just for kicks and giggles, I was looking at HubSpot and the pricing was literally $50 difference.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Way too much. No, thank you. This is super helpful. I guess my last question is, what do you think most people get wrong about their go-to-market motion, knowing that you are in a go-to-market company? That's what you help people with. You're doing go-to-market for a go-to-market company. You've done go-to-market at a marketing agency and SaaS.
Mhm.
What's the top thing that comes to mind with the question, what do most people get wrong?
One of them is getting buy-in from their team. I think a lot of times we see this. We had, I know, we had our internal conference where we brought all of our clients together to start their planning for next year. And that's one of the huge things we talk about is getting buy-in. A lot of times owners get, whether it's crazy, overly ambitious, and they build out these models and then they just say, this is what we're doing this year. And they don't get, once you have your team bought in, leadership especially, of I see why we're doing this. I see how the departments, all their goals all blend together. You create that uniformity and everybody's like, I think I told you about our process. It starts at the top and then you go down and then you get buy-in from your team and then they create their own plan. And it goes back up. Then when you start, for us in 2025, day one, every single person on our team, their team knows, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, and here's the effect of my role on hitting these goals. So I think it is, don't put yourself on the island. You have a team so that you can bounce ideas off of them. And if you don't trust your team, you're probably not hiring the right team, and that's an entirely different problem. But company buy-in is a huge one, and leadership.
Love it. I think that's fantastic. I think everyone wants to look like the hero in their company and they don't delegate and rely on their team enough.
Yep.
I'll go with the cheesy saying or idea that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I hire people way smarter than me.
Yeah.
Cool. Jacob, really appreciate you coming on, taking the time out of your day, man. What's the best way people can connect with you?
LinkedIn, Jacob at Cultivate Advisors, or if anybody has any questions or they want to talk about their business, hear more of what we do. I love to have the conversation. So whatever way you can find me, feel free to reach out.
Love it. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Stephen. Take care.